We have got to do this together to solve this issue in our community and to help meet the resources or the demands or needs of the folks that we're serving that are experiencing trafficking. We cannot do this in isolation of one another. My name is Ashley Bonham. I've been a partner with LCHT for about 10 years, and I work with housing and homelessness in Colorado. I grew up in a household that did a lot of philanthropic work, and my mom was a disability advocate. So I grew up asking a lot of questions, being involved, started kind of considering myself really interested in social justice and human rights issues. And I have this moment that I think a lot about where I was working alongside a friend in Nairobi, Kenya. And she was the founder of an agency working with families of young girls who were basically for economic reasons being forced into working for sex or other measures for economic gain for the family. And I remember sitting on a floor with mothers probably 20, 30, 40 years old. And we were actually sitting there talking about, what is it that leads these families to having to resort to this, and how can we support? And at the time, I didn't really realize that we were talking about trafficking and I was stepping into the anti-trafficking world, but it was a really formative time where it really solidified where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. I really could not turn my back on this issue. I had to do something. So in 2015, I started grad school, and I remember sitting in a class and we were learning about trafficking and how to identify it, what was happening in our community. After I walked away from that class, I thought I want to be involved. I want to do more. And so I decided to be a hotline advocate. And the next year, I started working with a nonprofit in housing and homelessness, and made the connection between the two of trafficking and homelessness, and how I needed to dedicate my career to this and really learn more about this intersection that exists. So we know even in our own community right now, and just on a national level, that there is a housing crisis of affordable housing. And when people don't have access to safe shelter or housing, that leads to them being vulnerable or in situations where they possibly could be trafficked because they're willing to do things because they need their basic needs met. So LCHT has been a dear friend of mine since 2015. They've been an educator for me, in the very beginning when I started this getting involved in the anti-trafficking movement. They were educators to me. They helped me understand the nuances with trafficking, how to identify what resources people needed. Then they became, as I started to get into my professional identity, they became partners and collaborators. And we really worked together to think about ways in our community that we could improve people's response to trafficking. I think one thing I really want to communicate about anti-trafficking movement is that it can feel really daunting or overwhelming when you think I want to do something, but I don't know how to get involved. So I want people to know that there's multiple ways that you can start to get involved in anti-trafficking movement. That can be as simple as something of just doing a monetary donation. It can be as simple as just going online and starting to research what trafficking is, what it isn't, informing yourself. I think the other thing I would say is that employment is a huge one as well. So teaching young people about safe employment practices and employers, teaching people about healthy relationships and what they look like and what are red flags in relationships. These are all simple ways that you can get involved, and just know that any one route that you go is you're doing something, even if it's as small as just going online and learning about this issue itself. My name is Ashley, and I invite you to join me this month in supporting LCHT in making it possible to end human trafficking.